Hi everyone, I get to see you in the mirror. This is Carolyn from Known as Nutty Crafts. And today we're gonna paint this mural. It's gonna be in the Grinch theme. So what I have here, I've already did an outline trace and it's with washable margin markers. You could do with paint markers or whatever you want. And we're gonna do Miss Cindy Lou. So Cindy Lou has her big ornament that she's gonna be having. I have her facing this way because as people enter into the house, they'll see her or she'll see them. And I'm just taping that right back there. And this is going to be in reverse because I'm flipping it. It says, in a world full of Grinches, be a Cindy Lou Who. So that's what I'm going to be painting. The words will come later. They'll be on my Cricut. But I want to get this painted so I can make sure my measurements is all right because I didn't want to print it off and then have to go back and do it. So let's get started. We're going to start painting the base, which is the pink and the red. So the color I have today for the pink, you can choose whatever color you want. It's called Pink Parfait, and the red is just red. The red comes from Craft Smart and the pink comes from Apple Barrel. But you can use whatever one you want, your choice. I have some containers, but I like using my plate sometimes. Well, this is going to be a lot of paint, so we'll put it in here. And I just squeeze some in there. I have all my brushes right here, so I can get going in my thing of water. Always dab my brush in just to get it wet. And then we'll start painting. Now it's going to be weird for me because I see the line, but it almost mirrors it from behind. So it's going to take me a little bit just to kind of get it going. So bear with. So I'm just going to play a little bit of an outline here. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, but it just gives me something to go off of. And I have my baby wipes and paper towels here so that as I paint, if I make a mistake, I can take it right off. Now the first coat is not going to look the prettiest because I am painting on glass with acrylic paint. So it may take a couple of coats for it to take. My biggest thing is that I don't want to have streaks in between because you know when you do it, you get those globs on the end of your brushes. So I don't want that. And then I just go very lightly, I go back. Because if I press too hard, it's going to take the paint off until it dries. Get down here. Because she has these little fishtail loopy things here. So all I'm doing is just making loops. All different sizes, all different widths, because hers was not perfect either. And again, get the globs out. Just smooth it out just a little. So that part's gonna dry right there. Next part is getting her arm. Now I do have in here the little ruffles. I'm going to paint it all now with the black, with the pink, and then I can come back and I'll go ahead and outline it in black. So I'm just making it like her neckline for now. And that's all the pink. What I'm going to kind of do is just kind of cover up that pink so it doesn't dry out. Next color I want to do bring in is the red. Get my paintbrush here. And we'll get one of these. Shake it up. Pour a bunch of red. Oops. And we start painting. Now again, it comes out kind of streaky because I am painting on glass, but we will fix all that. I'm going to make sure I get my lines just right. Now I see this isn't quite as round, but that's okay. I can go back and fix it. We're just going to go little by little. Let's do some filling in here a little bit. And again, very light strokes. The more layers I put on it, the better it will turn out. But we have to get that first layer on. Now you could probably paint this in a white base if you want to first. But I'm choosing not to do that. I still want to make this more rounded here, but I can do that with my baby wipes, change it up. But let's get just some paint on here so you can start seeing it come to life. The one good thing about this is that it's so easy to fix. When you're painting on wood with acrylic paints, sometimes if you have to fix something, you got to do it right away. If you use chalk paint, you could take a baby white and clean it off right away. But with acrylic paint, sometimes it's not as forgiving. But on this, it's very forgiving. So I'm good. Okay, we got to let that dry some. Oh, let me get a little bit down here. Oops, it's a little bit too much. Get those globs around the edge. And again, I can reshape this. It's not a problem. cover this one up. So we're going to get most of the base paint on, and then we'll have to let it dry and come back and do more. So the next color I'm going to use, it's kind of like a flush color. It's called Sunkissed Peach. That I'm going to use for her face, and of course we have yellow for her hair. Just shake it up a little bit. This time I'm going to just put some on my plate. Start with a little. Now, each year I've painted on this, and this is going to be the 4th year since I've had this mirror to paint on. And the first year I did a big snowman with some trees. Then the next year I decided to go the Grinch route, and so it became the Grinch with holding, you know, his Christmas ornament. Last year I did Max, as if Max was bursting out of the mirror. And last year my granddaughter said to paint Cindy Lou. So I'm painting Cindy Lou this year. So that gives us kind of a base for her face. Base for her face. Kind of rhymes. And again, this is just to give a base coat on everything, so that way I have something to work with. Now, if you don't know how I started painting back in the 90s, a friend of mine wanted to teach me how to do what they call toll painting. And that's a little bit more detailed painting with a lot of shading and stuff. And we used to do a lot of that, watercolor painting and stuff. Then I got into doing some of these little characters the past few years. So I do like doing these. So let's just put some yellow in her hair. All right. So we're gonna let that dry some before I put another coat on. So we'll come back. Okay, so we've had some time. I've done a couple of coats on these, and I actually just finished on a coat on the yellow, pink, and red. And I started to draw in to get an idea of her eyes, kind of thing. I'm gonna paint them white, and then there'll be black, you know, coming in on it as well. Or I could do blue eyes, which I might do. I haven't decided there. But I started to draw parts of her hair in. Now everything's gonna be outlined in the long run. So I'm not too worried about little smudges on the edges, because all that I can clean up as time goes. What I realized I didn't do another coat on is up here. So we're gonna start with the little bows and do some touching up in these. And it's just another coat. When I look at this, if I go on an angle, it looks like I keep missing, you know, the edge, because it's a mirror. So I have to look at it from straight on rather than on an angle. And that way I can get a cleaner edge. But again, all my edges I can clean up when I get to the point of everything's painted just how I want it. See, like I went into the yellow, I'm not worried about that, because the edges are gonna have black to really frame this whole thing in. So, oops, hitting the ornament. All right, so that's the red part right there. Okay, so I'm trying to get you as close as I can to this so that you can see, but it's kind of hard because I got this bench here and me painting. If I put you on the left side or right side. So as I was saying, we're going to do the eyes. Now, if you can see, you may not be able to. This eye is bigger than this eye, and the reason being because the head is kind of semi-turned, and she's kind of looking in this direction. So one eye will appear bigger than the other for that reason alone, because the other eye's kind of hidden behind what would be her nose. I know her nose looks like a little piggy nose right now, but just give it time, you all. This is all got to come to life. Okay. So let's go ahead and paint this. Ooh. Didn't close up the red. Oops, I put the glasses on. So like I said, I've already drawn the shape. Is that red? Ooh. Okay, so what I didn't do was clean my brush before I started here, because I was doing the red up here. So hold on. I keep some baby wipes here. And I'm just going to dab it out. I don't want to go too much because I don't want to take off the other color. Okay. Now we got it. I keep thinking this is wet and it's not. And I'm just letting the brush twist on its own to get that circle. Rather than me trying to move my hand, I'm just letting the brush twist. And hopefully you can see that. I'll try to do it here. And I'm just coming down and I'm just twisting it in between my fingers. trying to get to the edge where I want it. Once you got your base of where the size and all, you can go back in and fill it in. Now you can see there's a line in there because I hit too much of the paint, the white. So I'm just going to kind of fill in a little bit. I don't care as much because there will be black in there. Okay, let's do this one. And by just twisting the brush, the halfway of making the circle there, I'm not moving my hand so it doesn't become jittery, my hand. But you know, all know we can't paint straight. Our hands always shake. Feathering this out because there's a big globby line there as the edge, and I'm just bringing it back into the eye because I don't want that globby edge there. Do you ever watch people paint, or when they eat, they always make faces? I try not to make any faces, but no guarantee. Okay. Now, I can't do anything further on the eyes because the white has to dry. The nose is just going to be outlined in black. So I did draw it, I used a pen, which I shouldn't have, because that was the closest thing to my space. But I wanted to get a basic, so I'm gonna just cover it up a little bit because I really don't like what I drew anyway. So I'm just gonna cover it up and just blend this in somewhat. And once it dries, it will be okay. Now, because I changed her shape down here, take a little bit of this skin kind of color, just paint over that. And because I used a red marker, kind of washable marker, I see some red here. Even though it's going to be covered in black overall, I still am one of those people. I don't want to see it. Blend it in. Take the paint off my brush. Okay. All right, gotta let that dry, then we'll come back with another face. Okay, So what we need to do is draw in our hands, and it's just like 3 little fingers here and 3 little fingers here, as if she's holding the ornament. I hate drawing fingers. Just saying. I want to get to, this is when you want to paint on a certain angle, certain way, and you're trying to, and you can't get that right way you want to paint. So we have to figure out our dimensions. So these may be small at first, but I'll have to figure it out as I go. Those do look awfully tiny. So let's just make them a little longer. I mean, she has a little hand, so it's not, they are supposed to be kind of tiny fingers anyway, but still. We're gonna need a second coat. Now our other hand is just a little bit higher, and it kind of looks a little smaller, but we'll see. That hand looks a little fatter than the other one. So let's see if we can get them to be more proportionate to each other. I need some more paint. I think that's better.